Distinguished guests, dear members of the Gontier family, ladies and gentlemen, bonjour à tous et bienvenue. It is my pleasure to join you this evening for the Honorable Justice Charles D. Gontier Memorial Lectures. These lectures follow a day of productive and timely conversations regarding the links between human rights, sustainable development, and the law. I commend you for taking the time to engage so fully with the important themes of today's symposium, and commend the organizers for their creativity and resolve in making the symposium and these lectures possible through virtual means. Thanks are due especially to the McGill Faculty of Law. Merci beaucoup à la Faculté de droit de l'Université de Montréal. And thank you to the Center for International Sustainable Development Law. We are in the midst of challenging times that call for innovative solutions to facilitate global recovery and progress while ensuring that individuals are kept safe and secure in every sense of those words. These times shed a clear spotlight on the relationship between the individual and society, and how inextricably linked we are as local, national, and international communities. One would be hard-pressed to think of a jurist who was more keenly aware of these links than Justice Gontier. For many, the first word that comes to mind when thinking of Justice Gontier is fraternity, and aptly so. Justice Gontier's academic writings and public remarks are replete with references to this concept, and his commitment to its advancement forms a core part of his legacy. From a legal perspective, the concept of fraternity speaks to the relationship between the law and the communities it impacts, supports, and sustains. Justice Gontier described fraternity as advancing a number of core values in pursuit of forming a community, including empathy, cooperation, commitment, responsibility, fairness, trust, and equity. He viewed these values as being entrenched in the concept of fraternity and equally reflected in the Canadian legal order. More concretely, Justice Gontier conceived of fraternity as a bridge between the individual and the collective. He recognized that legal concepts and rights, which appear to be oriented around the individual, such as liberty and equality, are in practice dependent on communal respect and acknowledgement. As Justice Gontier explained, and I quote, "Liberty can only be enjoyed in its fullest form in a community that respects and cares for one another," unquote. Similarly, equality means nothing if it is not informed by the actual differences between people and the recognition of relative advantage and disadvantage among different groups in society. In the legal profession, we are often called upon to resolve individual problems and cases. Justice Gontier challenged us to see the collective dimensions engaged in every case. While it seems intuitive to recognize that individuals exist within a society, bringing this recognition to bear on our reasoning when grappling with legal issues ensures that we remain cognizant of the significance and of all the potential impacts of every judgment. Justice Gontier firmly believed in the concept of fraternity as a critical element of democracy that permeates the legal system providing the conceptual basis for many entrenched doctrines familiar to Canadian law. He championed fraternity as a lens through which to examine the law and laws. He saw fraternity as a window through which to find a catalyst and source of inspiration for a more just and human society. Aspiring to a more human society is another hallmark of Justice Gauntier's career as a jurist and leader in the legal profession. This aspiration is reflected in Justice Gauntier's jurisprudence and approach to the task of judging. Justice Gauntier recognized that while the black letter law serves an important role in society, the black letter law alone does not facilitate or protect the rule of law. Rather, the rule of law coexists with what Justice Gauntier termed the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law refers to the values and ideals that we innately draw upon in developing legal rules. It is the spirit of the law which serves to underpin societal respect for the black letter law, and by extension, the rule of law. Justice Gauntier sought to bring the spirit of the law to the forefront of his legal reasoning by identifying and making explicit values and ideals which are familiar to and resonate with Canadians. Justice Gauntier was able to demonstrate clear links between the law and human experience in his judgments. The importance of creating these links is reflected in Justice Gauntier's views of the role of the courts. He recognized that judges often serve as the vehicle through which the law is expressed and are called upon to be educators of public understanding and mediators of sometimes deep social conflict. Justice Gauntier was keenly aware that because of this, the way in which courts approach cases has a profound impact for the rule of law and legitimacy of courts as democratic institutions. Speaking of the role of courts in analyzing complex, multi-dimensional issues, such as the environment, he observed that the impartiality, understanding, and humanity conveyed in the court's approach to the issues is critical to enhance public understanding and acceptance of the law and the legal rules. In tackling the challenges we face today, there is much to be learned from the ethos of Justice Gauntier's impactful legal career. Perhaps most topically, Justice Gauntier's legacy reminds us of the importance of seeing the individual in the collective and the collective in the individual. In times of crisis, insular and overly individualistic thinking poses great risk, as do actions which fail to recognize that rights take their meaning from communal respect for the protections they guarantee. Integrating the concept of fraternity into our decision-making, both as individuals and as a society, may guide us towards striking the right balance. The theme of today's symposium captures the necessity of viewing rights in context, examining the relationship between the law, human rights, and sustainable development goals requires reflecting on how human rights are engaged in day-to-day society. As Justice Gauntier remarked in relation to the Charter, rights cannot be seen in isolation. In order for rights protecting instruments to be given full effect, they must remain an ever-present part of our collective conscience. For those actors and institutions that are tasked with implementing and interpreting the laws and policies that flow from Operation Sustainable Development Goals, Justice Gontier's emphasis on conveying the values and ideals that underpin legal decision-making provides a powerful example of how to build public understanding and trust. Justice Gontier's wisdom lied not only in seeing the collective imperatives inherent in the law, but also in using the spirit of the law as a means to communicate that imperative. The Supreme Court of Canada benefited from this remarkable skill over the course of Justice Gontier's 14-year career at the court. Following his retirement from the court, Justice Gontier took these skills to the international arena through his work advancing sustainable development and global justice. In each role he took throughout his legal career, Justice Gontier himself embodied the values advanced by fraternity, acting with respect, humility, diplomacy, and patience. Both nationally and internationally, Justice Gontier's legacy continues to influence the ways in which we work towards a more just and human society. This lecture series is a timely reminder of this remarkable legacy, and I thank you for inviting me to join you for this event. I now leave you in the capable hands of our distinguished lecturers, Dr. Elizabeth Mrima, and the Honorable Justice and Professor Marcel Zabot. Thank you very much. Merci à vous tous et toutes.